Welcome everybody to episode 7 of Tales from the Tackle Shop, and this is going to be one that's slightly different. We're going to do a lot of filming on site. On site? Is that the correct word to use?
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Special site.
Yeah. World famous peg in the background, isn't there?
Oh, Sir Bob's favourite peg. We've stolen it, but from a different angle.
Yeah. People probably won't recognise it from that angle, would they? But yeah. No, we've done some good films. Well, hopefully some good films.
Yeah, so every year we do like a groundbait special, and we've done another one this year, but kind of more winter mixes. So
Yeah, quite a bit to take in, but hopefully people can learn a bit from it.
yeah, so before we get on that, we'll just explain what's going on the rest of the podcast. So we'll get into that in a minute, but and then we'll go on to some local match results. We don't have many. I don't know what's going on now. What's happened to local matches?
I think what's happened is the Winter League's finished earlier this year, and there's no sort of official proper matches been planned. So some people are walking about like lost children, and some people are enjoying the fact they're not fishing before Christmas. So it's sort of 50-50. But I think hopefully next year we can perhaps sort something out so there's a bit more of something to fish for instead of it just dropping off a cliff.
When was the last time you fished?
The last round of the Winter League.
Which was
3 weeks ago now. Yeah.
Are you okay?
I'm all right. I'll get there.
Is that you got such that those there? I'll say that again. Your withdrawal symptoms are so bad. If you sit in my decking earlier, it was unbelievable. Drooling.
I know, and there's no one fishing. That's what I couldn't work out. It's like a little bit clear, but it was flowing, bit of wind on it. You'd have caught a boatload today out there.
I could tell you were lost. You were like looking out into the yonder and working it all out.
Yeah, just needed. Yeah, it's frustrating really because there wasn't a match the week before, and then this week there was, and you're like what were the results, and you want to see it, and there was only a little match, but it was still a match at March, which it fished very well. Which I don't know if we come to them now or at the end.
No, we'll do it at the end. Otherwise, if we get out of sync, I won't know I don't know what's going on normally. I'm just like a lumberjack today.
I was going to say you've been tree felling, yeah.
Well, I thought I'd wear this in memory of one of our comrades, John Price. He seems to have vanished off the face of the earth.
Oh yeah.
He likes he told me he likes lumberjacks. Now I don't know why he likes lumberjacks, but maybe it's a fetish of his.
Might be the fact that you've recorded him spewing. That might be.
Yeah, that's what it is. Getting some. Maybe he's taking exception. So to Pricey, this is for you, my man. All right, look at lumberjacking. Right, groundbait. Do you want to explain how you got involved with? Is it Van Den Eynde?
Van Den Eynde, yeah. I think it's all pretty common knowledge now that the Daiwa Tackle and Baits have got a sponsorship deal with Van Den Eynde.
Have the Peterborough lads been giving you some?
Well, they are what they are. They give it out, don't they? But yeah. No, there's all sorts of...
Actually, before I'm going to interrupt, we need to mention that they won a very high accolade recently.
Very recently, yeah.
Do you want to mention it?
Well, it's the Peterborough and District Angling Association, not the match team, the club in general.
And I think is it mainly due to the way they dealt with the seal situation? I think.
Well, I think just as a club, they're very professional in the way they look at things, and I think we definitely need to get Rob.
I keep saying this. I need to get Rob Harris on or Jonathan Means. They have been
definitely.
They have been superb, and they've handled the political fallout. Is that the right term?
Yeah. I mean, they've actually done something about it. I mean, there's lots of other podcasts. I mean, the Guru podcast. There's people put in, and everyone comes in the shop and says about cormorants and everything else. But unless we actually do something like concrete as a group of anglers, nothing's going to be done. And they are actually doing something. Everyone goes, oh, cormorants, this, blah, blah, blah. Seals. They've actually done something which, you know, for a lot of clubs, they're quite happy to take everyone's money and just sort of sit back and let everyone moan about it. They've actually took everything on board, spent the anglers' money, obviously, which is through the club books, on something that's going to benefit the anglers. So well done to them, really.
Alex, I think you've hit the nail on the head. They've been absolutely brilliant. So, guys, superb effort. It's taken them years to get this sorted.
And fair play to them. You know, they really have worked hard on it.
Yeah, it's been great. So, Well done, guys. Fantastic. Sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah, so you've got a second sponsor, Van Den Eynde.
Yeah, Van Den Eynde, Marcel Van Den Eynde. So I can remember when I was about, I don't know, I would have been 10 or 11. You'd go in cheesy bobs.
Were you wearing that jumper?
I was probably a bit too big for that jumper. I was about 3 when I wore that, I think. And obviously Bob Nudd and Van Den Eynde. You know, Bob was 4 times world champion, or at that stage was probably 1 or 2 times world champion. Then Alan Scottthorne as well were always big Van Den Eynde. You went in any tackle shop and all you ever see was your classic Super Cup, Special, Expo, Super Match. Trying to think, a lot of these are ground baits that we've talked about today are old ground baits that the recipes haven't changed. And then sensors sort of come on the scene as well. But I must have been about 12 or 13. And that's when I first started fishing, like the senior level fishing competitions. And way back then, Mick Dant used to sponsor me with my Van Den Eynde ground bait. So he used to give me like 2 bags a week. So I remember ringing Pete Rayner, who was obviously the manager of Millview Fishing Tackle at the time, and I was sort of working out what ground baits I'd want for the weekend. And 9 times out of 10, it'd probably be a bag of Super Match, which used to be in a real blue
Hold
bag.
it up a bit, mate.
And then
I'll do it for you. It's all right. Look,
that's all right. Yeah.
I've got a long arm.
And then the other one was Super Cup. And I think most anglers would say the first bag of continental style ground bait they bought would have been Super Cup.
I remember using the gold one of these.
The gold one.
It smelt beautiful.
World champion.
Well, obvious. But they're a really nice smell.
I don't think I've got world champion here, but we've obviously spoke about it in the video. The packagings have slightly changed. There's sort of a generic sort of bag for a lot of the ground baits, but that used to be in the yellow bag as well. Special and world champion used to be.
That could be it. Hold on, let me
Smell it. You'll know it straight away. They've got that classic smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that one.
Yeah. So special is awesome. A ground bait, which obviously watch the video we'll talk about today, I use a lot. Now there's a few newer ground baits. If I can just pass this one, a lot of tench anglers and general pleasure anglers would remember the red ground bait. One of the first red ground baits available was Expo. For quite a while we couldn't get it over here because of the colours and different bits and pieces, but that's now back available.
I never thought we'd be doing this today. I mean, extending my arm.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, Expo. And I used to get 2 bags or 3 bags if I was on a good venue. And you know, when you're sort of 11 or 12 year old, that was a massive help to me.
That is,
and
that's fantastic.
It's mad, yeah. And like a lot of anglers would sort of in the air would probably remember Mick Dant from the ABC. I'm going way back. ABC, he used to fish there, and then he obviously got into the wholesaling of Van Den Eynde ground baits, and it was massive. Obviously, Pete Clapperton. This area has always been big Van Den Eynde because obviously Mick distributed it. Essex County, Hot Rods, all the top teams all use Van Den Eynde ground bait, and so obviously that's where I sort of built up a real good confidence with it. Nowadays, well, the last sort of, I don't know, probably 10, 15 years, Van Den Eynde sort of taken a little bit of a backseat. It isn't as popular. And as we know, there's so many more different ground bait manufacturers now making all good ground baits. But this year, it seems to be coming back. And hopefully as a team, we can promote the brand. And we use their ground baits all the time. Even before we've been sponsored, we'd use probably one of the best selling ground baits in the shop, which is G5.
Hold on, mate. Go on, you keep talking about it.
Yeah, so G5 is available in natural and dark. And
you get your head in this shot even.
oh, sorry. And G5 is obviously designed by Alan Scottthorne. This one is 5 times world championships. And then a mix, which that's we've used today. is Turbo, which is probably one of the most versatile ground baits and most used, especially on the continent, Italy.
Smells like special a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. It's very salty, which obviously the Belgian ground baits are very salty, which are very good.
So I know carp anglers use a lot of salt in their boiling mix.
They do, yeah. Salt is very good for the fish, so that's one of the reasons why they like it.
I've got ground bait all over my spare bedroom.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh well. You've had worse in here, I'm sure. But, so yeah, I mean, we're over the moon to be sponsored by Van Den Eynde. Obviously, we're going to represent them in the World Club Champs this year in Finland. So we'll see what mixes work out there, if any ground bait. But something I want you to try. So,
let me tell you a funny story about some dog food that I ate last night.
Okay.
So do I have to
dog food.
Do you want me to eat this?
No, you don't have to eat it. You just have to put your little finger in, your little pecker in there. So this is...
Do that again.
So this is the caramel additive. So it's very sweet. A lot of anglers would add this for bream fishing, but for roach it's just as good as well. I want you to just...
Oh, now we're going to film this. Stick it.
Smell it.
Do you want to stick my finger? Hold on.
Smell it. Very sweet, yeah?
Oh, that's not. Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I was going to have that on my Greek yogurt.
Yeah, okay.
What do you want me to do?
Just wet your finger and dip it in. Don't need much. Yeah, that's plenty.
Eat it?
You just lick it, yeah. That's all you need.
That's really cool.
That's salty. Is that burning your tongue?
That's nice.
Yeah, but it's like salted caramel.
Is it fit for human consumption?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I going to be puking later?
Well, you ate dog food last night,
well,
so I'm sure it can't be that bad.
I thought it was chocolate ice cream.
That's a funny story about that. We sell some doggy ice creams in the cafe, and
Don't tell me George ate
no, Kelvin did.
Kelvin
It didn't come with a spoon. It was like a little.
Did he eat the whole lot?
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me the story.
Oh, I don't know. He sneaks in when no one's about and gets a bit of cake or a beer, or fair play, you know what I mean? But one particular time, he thought he was having a nice little ice cream, which was actually
Doggy ice cream.
doggy ice cream. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Do you want to know about my ice cream story?
Go.
So, actually, the aftertaste isn't so good.
No, it's really salty, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, you'll have that taste for ages, but
I was dishing out dessert
that would be lovely on ice cream. Salted caramel.
The initial taste is very nice.
Yeah.
I'm not so certain now. I've got a bit of a twang on my tongue.
Very, like, you'll have that up there for the whole day now.
So last night I was dishing out, you know that banana cake?
Yeah, yeah.
We had banana cake earlier, it's lovely. Heated up with some Ben and Jerry's on top.
Nice.
And I was dishing some Ben and Jerry's out, and I thought, oh, right next to where I was dishing it up, there's a bit of chocolate ice cream on the counter. I thought, I'm not letting that go to waste. Oh. No. Certain person had been mixing the dog food up about 10 minutes beforehand and knocked a bit off the dog bowl and put it on the counter. So, yeah, it was all right, though.
You felt a bit rough, did you?
Rough, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
It's a dad joke, that.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we'll come on to that end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so that tastes really nice.
Or I've been hanging around wattling too long. I think that might be the...
Yeah, I think
it's rubbing off on me.
For you, is it? No.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of people don't realise that caramel, how salty it is. So, yeah, definitely think about...
That's what we had in the Bream Groundbait in the summer, wasn't it?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, because there was a real nice smell.
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully you'll learn a few bits and pieces. We covered a lot. Well, we covered everything we stock in tackle and baits. But some of it's more summer orientated and some of it's orientated for now. So again, this is in the video. This is something that I always carry, very similar to the Sensus Collect, but this is obviously the Van Den Eynde version of it. You can transform your ground bait from a dry mix, quite sort of soft and sort of loose, by adding literally a tiny bit of that. You can make it into your ground bait like concrete. So it's brilliant for changeable venues, shall we say, or I always keep it in bag. For a £5, I think it is, it's worth keeping it.
And if I remember, I'll put the clip of us Right, so I'm going to put a clip of Alex dropping in the sandcastle ground bait
Yeah.
and the ground bait you mix with this.
Yeah.
Over me talking now, there was a distinct difference between
Yeah.
how...
It saves you mixing up 2 different lots of ground bait every time you go. With one mix, you can make it dry and less water in it, and then you can add that to it, and it sticks like shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Mate, let's not waste any more time. I need to have a drink of water.
I thought you might.
Let's get straight into the ground bait section.
So, Van Den Eynde ground baits. As you can see, it's a minefield. It is and it isn't. The best way to describe ground baits is once you know what each ground bait does, then you can tailor your mix to certain venues, different times of year, all sorts of things. That's why we like to have, say, 3 different ground baits mixed in a certain way, because they all bring certain values to the table. Obviously, being in Fenland, we have a variety of sort of drains and rivers, and a lot of the ground baits we use would be probably different to certain areas which are more river orientated. Things like your Super Cup, your Super Matches, specials, things like that. This time of year, shallow, slow, sluggish drains are absolutely bang on. But all these ground baits you see here, we stock in tackle and baits. The only one that isn't here at the minute, which we do stock, is beat, but we're waiting for that to come back in. So what we'll do is we'll start with the most popular ground baits obviously are Turbo and G5. Both come in natural and dark colours. Turbo is probably the biggest selling ground bait in the shop for natural venues, just because it's so versatile. You can use it with mixes that want to carry lots of bait, and you can also use it where you don't want hardly any bait as well. So for me, Turbo is sort of a mainstay in a lot of my mixes. G5, there's a newer version which is a G5 special, which is in a kilo bag, which is very similar to the standard G5, but it's a bit more spicy, a bit more herby, a little bit more active. That's why it's got the special on it. We'll start from this left-hand side, or my left-hand side. So Gold Pro Bream has been around forever, probably one of the biggest selling bream ground baits. You can even use it to add to your standard roach mixes just to sort of sweeten it up. So while we're sort of in that area, in that ballpark, we've got the lake ground baits, or Sweet Skimmer and Super Lake. This is very, very sweet, very similar to the Sonu Baits Dark, Sweet Skimmer Dark. Ideal for summer mixes where you're sort of mainly targeting skimmers, but also adding into any of these mixes to make them sweeter. Super Lake is been around for a long time. It takes quite a bit of water. A lot of anglers do use it here on March, and it's just a good ground bait. Got lots of little white bits. I'm not sure what they are, but they tend to be it's quite an active mix. So venues like here you'd probably use when it's not flowing very hard or no flow at all. It'd be ideal for that, especially after Christmas when the skimmers sort of become a bit more of a target and the roach sort of tend to sort of be a bit harder to catch. I'd definitely look at adding some Super Lake to my mix. Whether it be Super Lake and Super Match and a little bit of special, might be. So on the front here we've got Canal, which is more designed for deeper, bigger canals. You wouldn't sort of associate it with the canals we tend to have over here in the UK, which are, you know, the shallow ones. That's quite a heavy corn based mix, so venues that have got big boats, so if you've got a venue that big boats and a lot of boat activity, that might be a good ground bait to add, just because it stays inert and stays on the bottom. Then you've got Castar. So I have been playing about with this mix. It's very salty, like all the Van Den Eynde ground baits, extremely salty, which work exceptionally well when temperature's really high and when the temperature is low as well. So the bit in the middle tends to be more of a sweet mix. Low temperatures and high temperatures tend to go for a salty mix. But this is brilliant for skimmers and roach. You can use it on its own with some lean for like river fishing. You can add a little bit to your mixes. I've used a bit this year on March. It's very very sort of distinctive smell to it. So it's fine as well, which obviously wintertime you want fine ground baits. So definitely worth looking at Star. It's good for bream and roach. Nature, again, it's a bit more coarser particles. To be honest, haven't used that one that much, just because we tend to go for more dark ground baits in this area and pretty much the whole of the UK. Expo. So this is your traditional Expo ground bait, bright red, very popular in the shop with pleasure anglers. Brilliant tench ground bait and summer bream ground bait. A lot of the anglers will add the strawberry additive to it just to give it that real sweet edge. So now in a kilo bag instead of 2 kilo bags. So back in the shop, I know a lot of anglers have been asking for that. Moving to the front, so we've got Secret. A lot of people have seen Secret over the years. Used to be in a similar package to the Nature, but obviously used to be green. They do it in black and natural. Very good ground bait for roach. You can add that to any mix to sort of sweeten it up and sticky it up. Very good for if you want to put a lot of particles in your ground bait, so like pinkies, casters. If you're on flowing rivers, feeding lots of ground bait, sort of ball or chuck, and you want it to get down and then release the bait, exceptional for that. Moving now, we've got these Super Roach, so it's quite a bitter roach ground bait. A lot of anglers would use that sort of on flowing rivers. It's dark, it's got quite a bit of salt content as well. Just a brilliant roach ground bait. Right, moving on. So these 3 ground baits here, the first one I'm going to talk about is Special. So this ground bait I've probably used the most with Turbo this year. You can mix it wet, you can mix it dry, you can do anything with it. It takes a lot of water, which, to be fair, most of the Van Den Eynde ground baits don't take up too much water compared to, say, Sensus. So this is exceptional for venues like March, Benwick, pretty much all the shallow, narrow drains. This will go into my mix, and we're going to do a mix later consisting of Special and Turbo, something you'd probably not put together because one's quite sticky and one's takes on a lot of water, but the way we feed it, I'll show you how that works. So brilliant ground bait is Special. We spoke about the G5 Special. So this one is Super Crack Roach Black. A lot of anglers are switching on to this now. I wouldn't say it's a new ground, but it's been about for quite a while. We've sold lots of it, especially when the winter leagues are on sort of Little Port, 10 Mile, them sort of venues where you want a sticky but active ground bait. A lot of anglers mix this with G5 and Turbo, and then obviously add the soils in depending. But a very strong, pungent ground bait, brilliant for roach this time of year. You can mix this with some Super Match, and that would be a fantastic drain mix. You can just add it to whatever you like really, but it's a fantastic roach mix. So Super Match, 1 kilo bags, nice and fine. You could use this as a base, like I say, you could add Special to it, you could add Super Crack to it. Any of these ground baits you could add to Super Match. It's quite sticky if you need it to be, but on the same time you can make it dry and feed it sort of loose. So fantastic ground bait. That one. The next one is World Champion. Now, years ago, this was a mainstay in everyone's ground bait mixes. I have been playing about with this one. I've been mixing it with some Turbo, just on venues where I want to get a lot of particles down to the bottom and not break up, maybe release sort of after 20 minutes, a real hard, sticky ball. But it has got quite a bit of activity as well, World Champion. And then probably moving on now to the old Trustworthy. How many of us, when we first got into match fishing, went into the tackle shop and bought a bag of Super Cup? It contains quite a bit of copra and molasses. It's ideal for lots of small fish. Again, you can mix it wet, you can mix it dry. Very versatile. A lot of anglers will mix Super Cup and Super Match together. You can use it in the feeder for skimmers. Just awesome ground bait, quite active. Again, very, very popular amongst customers in the shop. The next things we're going to talk about is chapelure. So a lot of anglers will add brown crumb to the mixes, not maybe as much this time of year through the winter months, but in the summer, either as a bulking agent or just to add food content. Chapelure is it's Belgian brown crumb. It's absolutely beautiful. It's fluffy. Compared to the standard brown crumbs we get in the UK, we haven't got many options in the UK, but this is unbelievable. If any of your summer mixes, add some of this for bream. It smells beautiful, smells like you've just been to the bakery, so that's how good it is. And you can buy these in big 25 kilo sacks as well. It's $3.99 for a kilo. Okay, you might say it's expensive brown crumb, but if you want the finest ingredients, then look no further or buy a big sack. So the next two are, we'll start with copra molasses. So this is quite active. Obviously it's copra is like a coconut molasses, very sweet. You can add this to your sort of small, especially if you're trying to target small skimmers, little like pommies, that sort of thing, after Christmas when fishing's a little bit harder, but you want to add a little bit of food content. Skimmers love this. Quite often if you've got copra molasses in your mix, when you go to unhook them, you'll just see it in their roof of their mouth. So it's definitely an ingredient worth adding if you're targeting those particular fish. Then the last one is DM. A long while ago, pigeon droppings or pigeon shit was very popular, especially with French and Belgian anglers. And this is the newer equivalent. Obviously, they can't be selling actual pigeon shit, but it's as close to it. It's dried. Just be careful when you mix this. Make sure you wear gloves. And the other thing is you need to mix it with hot water if you want best results. All I do is get a pint bait tub and a pint of water, boiling hot water, mix it all in with your whisk and just leave it for a few hours. And then what you do then is if you're adding it to your ground bait, you add it to the dry ground bait. All right, so that's DM pigeon shit. The next few things are talk about is leams. So we stock the main standard leams, which is your sort of clouding leam. These are ideal to add into your ground baits, either to obviously lesser or reduce the feed content in your ground baits. So if you're in a venue like, I don't know, Little Port or the Ooze, where you're balling a big amount at the start, a lot of anglers will add leam just to create, obviously you're creating a bit of noise, so you're bulking your ground bait out. Black and then natural. You can use this if you're bloodworm fishing as well, just a bit of grey leam, and away you go. So pretty standard leams. The next ones are soils. So we do 3 of the Van Den Eynde soils. We do the river clay, which is very sort of heavy and sticky. Venues that are very fast. Then we do black earth. So this one is ideal for adding to ground baits to get down, but also to release, so it breaks down the ground baits and sort of disperses them on the bottom. But a lot of anglers use this with feeding worms. So if you're on venues where you don't want to use a bait dropper, you can add a bit of liquid worm or just bind it up with a little bit of grey leam, chop worms added to it. Fantastic for that. So that's earth, good on canals as well, feeding a little bit of joker. And the next one's heavy earth. So this is a little bit finer, but it's extremely heavy. I mean, I tend to use this on the Ooze and places like that where you want to get it down and break down on the bottom, but then releases your ground bait and bait inside it. It's quite expensive, but it can really, really make a difference to your mixes. So that's those. One ground bait I haven't spoke about yet, and it's straight in front of me, which I can't believe I missed it, is Record. So I used a bit of this on the Y this year. It is extremely sticky, contains quite a bit of flaked maize. So with all my Van Den Eynde ground baits, I put it through a riddle first just to get rid of any of the big lumps. And then any of the big lumps I can either reuse at a later date, or I'll just add boiling hot water and push them through a riddle back into my mix, just so you're not wasting anything, and that can make a big difference. But this is very herby. We're going to do a mix later with this for places like the 20 foot or venues where you got feeding lots of little balls with lots of pinkies in. So we'll do that mix in a bit. The next thing is additives. So you've got dry additives. We spoke about the strawberry one, add into your sort of carp or tench mixes or bream mixes. Another additive is the roach special. So this is like an aniseed, fenugreek, coriander additive. So if you're using these, you mix your ground bait up just before you're going to start. You then mix these in, so you've got your wet ground bait and just add this to it. Very good for roach. I have used this a little bit, but I have used this one more, and I think this makes a massive difference. So I've even had this out in the shop and got people to taste this. And caramel, you think it's going to be extremely sweet. It is extremely sweet, but it is extremely salty. So you may think caramel brasem is a additive for just bream. Roach absolutely love the salt content in this. A good mix would be half a bag of this, 2 kilos of turbo, and then some special. So it really salts it up in them cold conditions. But caramel, you can add this to pretty much anything. You could even add it to black earth and feed it in there, so your soil's got a bit of additive. I know a lot of anglers do that in this country and massively on the continent. The last two things are bentonite and the aromas. So I've always been a massive fan of the liquid aromas. There's quite a few in the range. We're waiting for the roach to come back in stock, which I have used. There's a brasem, which is more like your summery sort of bream additive, but the one I've been using to great effect is caramel. If you didn't want to add the powder, then I'd definitely think about this. But what these actually do is deaden your mix off, and it's 500ml bottles. They're quite expensive, but if I was to use, say, 3 kilo mix of ground bait, I'd probably use half a bottle. And what I'd do is put that in with the water that I'm going to add to the ground baits, which we'll do a little video in a bit, show you those mixes. I think I've covered all of it. I'll just give you quite a few scenarios there of different ground baits for different scenarios. Obviously, if you've got any questions about Van Den Eynde ground baits or any ground baits, you can call the shop, speak to me or any of the team. We're all quite knowledgeable about ground baits, or just come into the shop and we can explain. The last thing is bentonite. So I've used quite a lot in the past colics, which is, say you've taken a ground bait to the bank that is quite light and fluffy, and in particular like venues like here, all of a sudden it starts flowing and you need a ground bait that's going to stick and get to the bottom and hold that bait. Essentially with this, instead of carrying 2 different mixes, you can just take a bottle of this in your mix and adapt according to the conditions. So you can also use this for adding to your leams as well, just to make them bind. Definitely worth leaving in your bag all the time, really sort of useful. And again, we'll do a little video in a minute showing you how this can work. So this is mix 1, a mix I've used quite a bit, especially on venues like March and Benwick, where they're sort of shallow, not going to move too much, and I'll show how we feed it as well. So the 2 main ingredients are turbo, which is turbo black, and special. Sort of contrasting sort of ground baits really. One's sort of sticky and the other one's sort of really active and just can add loads of water. So a lot of anglers say, oh well, you know, why do I need to feed 2 kilos of that and a kilo of that? Well, depending on where you go, in venues like Benwick, you're not using lots of ground bait. So I always measure mine. So instead of saying 1 kilo of that to 1 kilo of that, I just do it in pints. So my mix normally is 2 pints of turbo to 1 pint special. So I just get an empty bucket, 1 pint measure. So we're going to do, there's 1. And what we're going to do, we're going to put it through the finest mesh riddle we've got, which is a pinky riddle, which I think is 3mm. So we've got 1 pint of that there. There's 1. and there's 2. And then we're just going to do 1 pint of special. Now this special takes on quite a lot of water. It smells amazing. There's lots of like little orange bits which you'll probably see in the mix once we've finished. So we're just going to put that through a nice fine riddle. Just remove any of those large lumps. And I always do this the night before. Normally for me it's load the van and then I sort of go through my ground bait. I like to mix it and go to it 2 or 3 times. So we've just removed those larger particles. What I tend to do with that is put them in a bait tub and then I'll put them through a grinder or whatever later on in the year and go from there. So we're just going to get rid of those now. So next thing is drill. There's 2 or 3 different types of whisks. This one, if you can see, is sort of the senseless one. Preston do a version of it as well, but the reason why I like this, it tends to mix the ground up a little bit finer compared to the bigger spaced ones which tend to clog a little bit more. So this one really evenly spreads it. So that's the dry ingredients blended. The next thing I like to add is some caramel. So I'm going to put, because this has got quite a lot of special in it, I'm going to use my 1 pint measure again. So I'm going to put half a pint of caramel in there, and then I'm going to top that up with just normal water. So that equates to a pint of water. All right. So that's 1 pint of each, and that's going to go in here now. Just going to mix it in just a bit at a time. So right in the corners. Right, just going to let that stand for a little while. Key thing is not to add too much at the start. Now, I've probably put in 3/4 of a pint of water in there, and as you can see, it's looking all right, but I'm going to leave that stand for 10-15 minutes, and then we're going to add the rest of the water. And we're going to keep adding water until we get the right consistency. So come back in 5. Want me to add the rest of it? Yeah. So we're going to just add the rest of it now. So considering there's only 3 pints of loose ground bait, you've got quite a bit of ground bait there to feed. So on a particular harder day, there's plenty of ground bait there, especially if you were fishing sort of 2 lines or feeding it on 2 lines. But basically we've put a pint of water in there with the caramel, half a pint of caramel additive. The reason why I do it the night before is I'll probably another 10-15 minutes add a little bit more water, just because that special takes on a lot. I'll then put it in a bag, and then when I get to the bank, then I'll add a little bit more water, just so I can get it the right consistency. I don't want to put too much water in, and I want it a bit drier compared like when I get to the river. Yeah, next shot. I've got my ground bait exactly how I want it. So I added a pint of water in 2 hits, and then I've added another half a pint of water, and as you can see, it's sort of sticky but wet. So by making it wet, we're making it heavy. You can either feed it in a ball like we'll show in a second, or we're going to sandcastle it in, so we'll show you that as well. But all I'm going to do before I do that is just put it through the next size up riddle. As you can see, it's a nice dark colour. You can still see them the little orange bits from the special. Put that through there. what this mix is extremely wet. So it's versatile. It goes down and sits above the weed. That's going to be the main thing. A lot of anglers would feed their margin mixes for carp down the edge like this, but for silty bottoms or venues where there's lots of weed, this is ideal because it just pushes everything down and tries and gives you a nice flat bottom. So just pushing that through a riddle. Obviously, because it's wet, it's quite difficult to push through a riddle. If you were to use the 3mm one, it would be nigh on impossible because it's how wet it is. But we're just going to put it through this riddle just so there's no big lumps. But with how fine the special is in the turbo, should go through nicely. Again, all this ground bait, this amount, is just 3 pints of dry mix. So not masses amount of ground bait. A lot of the time on the drains, you tend to feed the ground bait at the start and pretty much only top up when you need to because you're going to be loose feeding over the top. But this acts as a lovely bed, and if you're catching skimmers you might have to feed little top up balls just to bring them back in the swim, but that's all gone through there. And what you're left with there is a heavy, really fine mix. So if I just gently grasp it, it makes a ball. How we're going to do it is we're going to sandcastle it in. So I need my cupping kit. This is one of my old bodge job cupping kits. That was when schoolboy era, I was on 10 mile and I had my cup on and was accurate for a change and knocked my cup off, and it was a bit of a job on the bank by Adam for me. So, but right, anyway, I'm going to show you how this works. Really, ideally, you want a hole in the bottom of your pot. So if you haven't got a hole, just drill a hole in there. A lot of the new cups now have vents around the sides for this simple reason. So all you do, what we're going to do, look, is just push the ground bait in, like so. Just going to thumb it, like that. So all we're going to do, if you imagine now, going to ship out, turn the pot over, and then just going to tap it, and see how it comes out like a sandcastle, like you're back at the beach. But what that does, imagine that now, that goes down. As it goes down, it's slowly breaking down, and then when it hits the bottom, it sort of makes a bigger area. So less is more, if you know what I mean. So that's quite heavy, so it's not really fine and just going to disperse. It's going to go to the bottom and fizzle away on the bottom. So I'll just show you that again. So put it in your mix like you would normally, sandcastle it down like so, just give it a little squeeze around the pot, chip out to your spot, turn it over, just tap it, and that'll go down like that. So it'll go through the surface skim and break down sort of on a bigger area on the bottom there. So your fish are straight into any particles you're feeding. So it's a nice little tip, something that carp anglers or carp match anglers do down the edges. Real wet ground bait, heavy ground bait, just create that that area in your peg. Say for example, using the same mix, it's dead still at the start, particularly in venues like here. I mean, you can see it's flowing today, but after 2 hours, it starts to flow hard, and you need a ground bait that's going to get your bait down without creating and dispersing. So with the same mix, which is salty and sweet, we're going to have some bentonite. So all we do with that is just a little bit on there, not too much. You can either do it with your hands again, but get the drill back out. Now, I've only added a little bit in there. If I want to make a ball, 3 squeezes, it goes in absolutely bang on. So with one mix, with the bentonite, you can do pretty much anything with that. It'll carry bait. So say for example, I feel that feeding little ploppers regularly, I can just grab one grab and that'll hold as much bait as you want it, and it goes straight down. All them pinkies go to the bottom where you want the fish concentrated. So with one mix, extremely versatile. I'm not going to mix these ones up, but this is a mix that I use when I want to carry a lot of bait, where I'm feeding like a baller chuck, a venue that's sort of 7-8 foot deep or deeper, that I want to feed like lots of pinkies or squats regularly. So this is Record Roach. This is the natural colour, but they do that in the dark as well. And Super Match. Super Match is obviously, will make this a darker mix. Exactly the same process. If I wanted extra sticky, then I'd add the bentonite in again. So another very, very popular mix is, say if I was going to Benwick after sort of Christmas, where it's been fished quite a lot and targeting lots of small fish, I'd just again use a 50-50 mix. So for a session on Benwick, I'd probably mix up 2 pints of that, 2 pints of that, whiz it up, and away you go. That's quite a really fine mix then. Again, the most important thing I find is to put it through a little 3mm riddle. Just takes all them bigger particles out. But a mix that everyone uses, which if you had to buy sort of 1 bag of ground bait, would be G5. The black one, a lot of people do prefer the natural one and then add their own like Trassics or colorants to it. But G5 is a pretty generic mix you could just use on its own. I have used turbo on its own, especially when it's really cold. Again, riddle it through. Turbo neat on its own is a brilliant roach ground bait because of the salt content. Mix these two together and you won't go far wrong on any venue really. So hopefully with what I've explained to you makes sense. I know it's a bit of a minefield. All I can say is get on the bank and try your mixes and get confident. So if you're not too confused, but if you do want some more information, or come and see us in the shop, obviously we can go through every ground bait whilst you're there and I can tell you what's what. But yeah, come and see us in the shop or give us a ring and we can give you some hopefully some good tips. For obviously each venue's different. I can sort of suggest a different mix for a different venue.
Do you know what? I was watching you film that outside, and just the fact that when you have different elastics, different rigs, different diameter hook lengths, different shotting patterns, it's all very confusing. But you add the ground bait mixers into it as well. It's a minefield.
Some people might say that it's all a load of bollocks, but we know when you're fishing high end, little things make big differences. You know, by your ground bait mix might mean you catch fish from this big, all of a sudden people next to you are catching this big. And that is why you go for match fishing, because you want to know why that person's doing it. And you might get a battering off someone off the next peg. You think, why? How come he's caught bigger stamp fish? Well, chances are might be the peg, might be the ground bait mix, or it might be the rig that he's used. So get all them 3 things right and you're on to a winner.
Well, I'm going to admit this now, even though I didn't admit it 5 months ago.
Yeah.
We had the same ground bait mix.
Yeah.
But it was just the setup and the rigs.
Yeah.
For the Bream Challenge, it did make a difference. You attracted those bigger fish into the swim and held them there.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, we had a good ground bait, didn't we? I don't think it would have made any difference what ground bait we would have had.
No, but those 3 things you spoke about.
Oh, yeah, but the 3 together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the same peg.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. It is, and these little 1% do make a difference.
Oh, massively. And I mean, when you're looking at international fishing, it makes an even bigger difference.
Yeah.
You know, how much water's in your ground bait. Everyone uses G5 and turbo, but if you had 5 anglers and brought their mixes to the top of the bank, everyone's would be different with the same ground bait mix. So, yeah, that's why when you have team lineups,
filming Simon Willsmore is an eye. So what did I just say?
Simon Willsmore.
Yeah, filming Simon Willsmore.
Ooh, love you, love you, Simon.
He's back.
Is he? Oh yeah, he was on March this week, wasn't he? Yeah.
But no, filming him was an eye opener to see how precise he was with each measurement of ground bait and water. And
I think that's because of the international background. You know, a lot of us. I mean, I'm learning. Everyone's learning all the time, and them top anglers do some things that are very simple but make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But that's fishing, simple but effective.
I tell you, watching him was like the measurement was so accurate. His feeding was precise. Like everything went in exactly the same spot, and therefore it was simple, but at a very high level. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything was precise and spot on.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it, but I'm not going to keep talking about him because you'll start taking.
Oh, love you, Simon.
Right.
Ooh,
Match
Gunners
result.
friends.
We're not talking about football either.
Oh, wonder why.
Got some rude messages of Chavy.
Isn't it good, isn't it? Okay. Liverpool have gone bang. Poor old Mo Salah.
Do you think he's coming?
I reckon it's the Isaac rubbing off on him. Do you know what I mean? Got to be, innit?
Overpaid and over-egoed players. Right, let's crack on because Jeff Tuttleby will be annoyed with us. Right.
Sorry, Jeff.
Yes. Derek Skinner, top man, has sent me in the Spilsby AA matches. I'm going to try and get this correct this week. I think we got one slightly wrong last time. So this is from Wednesday, the 3rd of December. 17 anglers took part. Just bear with me. I had my brain in gear a minute ago and my eyesight's going. So I'm going to do the top three again. In third place was Dave Ashmore with £8.15.5. Second was Mick Stamp with £10.8. And in first place was Steve Nurse with £10.10. So that was good. That's when he threw in another. That's what he did. He's done it out of sync just to confuse me.
Don't take a lot.
It doesn't take anything at all. So we're going back the previous Sunday now to the 30th of November. So this was just another Sunday match. We'll get onto their second Winter League in a moment. So I did read it beforehand, Derek. So third place from the Sunday the 30th was Kev Wilson with £3. So this is amazing. This match was just 3-4 days before, and the weights are so much lower. So this is Kev Wilson with £3.13.25. Second was Kieran Cook with £3.13.5. Obviously bribed the scalesman. And in first place was Chris Hodson with £3.15.25. There needs to be a steward's inquiry. Right, now we get on to the second round of their Winter League, which was Sunday the 7th of December.
Yep.
And in third place was Nige Butler with £9.13. Second was Steve Nurse with £12.14.75. And in first place was Bob Smith with £13.6. So lots of different names there, which is
Must
really
be
good.
that magic hat he's got, Bob Smith.
That was interesting. Was that the amount of water coming through? You'd know the venue.
I've only been there once and I blanked, so can't really comment on the venue really. But
Derek did send me a picture of some floodwater that.
yeah, it's very temperamental. Speaking to a few, there's lots of really small fish in there this year, and I think one of them, but consistent. Do you know what I mean? You look at it, it's not like one end dominates with £20 and the next end is Blanksville. It's actually quite nice. It's a venue that's not a big weight, but £6-7 and spread out, which is nice.
Yeah, it's good, but it's also the weight's I've got more and more. So obviously
whether it's got more colour or less flow, I don't know, but it's a very narrow venue and does suffer quite a bit with the rain.
Ah, right, okay. Now then, we've had some success with Steve Smith.
Oh,
I think
it's only taken us 5 years.
Well, I think he's taken on board what we said, and got very, very accurately drawn up scorecards here.
Even pictures as well.
I've only got Bauer, 2nd of December.
Yeah.
I'm going to do top three. Oh my lord. I was going to do top three.
Good luck.
No, I've done it. No, he's written them at the bottom. So in third place was Mel Saggers with £10 dead.
Must have been perch on red worms.
Second place was Bob Fitch Tench.
Never heard of him, mate.
With £11 dead. And the winner was Windmill Steve himself with 16.4.
Bloody hell. Lovely days fishing. Good to see it fishing all right still.
I'm just looking
I know it's already started to go a bit patchy compared to what it was earlier on in the year, because when we had our Wintleys on there, that was unbelievable fishing. But I think they've gone into their little winter spots now. And
So
Who knows?
I forgot to change the camera over. People were just looking at me, looking down at my phone. I do apologise.
Oh,
Yeah, so but I was just looking, and there's quite a few billies.
big billies.
Yeah, that's what you call them, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they're not big perch. They're what I
No,
call
but they're nice sized fish, them, aren't they?
yeah. But Bobfish Tench has got some skimmers.
He's the man, isn't he?
He's the worm man. Yeah, yeah. So that's those results. Now there was a knock-up, wasn't there? I did.
There was, yeah, yeah. So
who's the Fenland Bugalier of all the fen drains?
Bugalier.
He also gets chip shot but denies it.
You mean John Taylor?
Did he get a clicker?
No, quite a few people tagged him in though, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever want to know what's going on, just follow him on Facebook.
He is the 6-peg specialist, isn't he? He is. He's a 6-peg specialist, and fair play, you know.
Do you know what when I see him, he says to me, I hear I have taken some ribbing again. I don't watch it, but I hear.
Well,
I think he secretly watches us.
of course he does.
Us,
yeah. Love you, John. Yeah, so there was Bob Fitztench. Bob Fitzjohn organised a little sort of knock-up match on March on Sunday. Condition river-wise was bang on. Nice colour at the start, and then it sort of flowed steadily all day. Colour drops out as normal. I don't know whether it's because people are in and out with platforms and disturbing the bottom and gives it that little bit of colour. But it fished very well. The first peg 1, was just outside here, which was the first peg above the sort of disbanded concrete, would you say, or broken down concrete, or unsafe concrete? I don't know.
The technical term is knackered.
Knackered.
Yeah.
Right, the
knackered
knackered concrete. Yeah. So that was peg 1, and they're 25 fishing. So I think that would have took them just past the scout hut opposite. It's like a boot in the garden, for those that know where that is. Apologise if you don't, but anglers that know the venue well know exactly where I mean. And the winner was Phil Chesterton, next to Sir Bob Nudd, which they were middle of the park, which isn't normally a particularly brilliant area. They've had £28 and £27. Good stamp roach. I think Bob had more roach than skimmers, but I think Phil had a few skimmers. And then third was Dave Lee with £25. And then fourth was next to him with
hemp. Must have been hemp.
Obviously, that's all he ever fishes. So he caught an M. And then I think Ian Young next to him had £24. So basically from middle of the park going up towards the allotment stile, or what was the allotment stile, up to the windmill, there's a big block of fish. Whether they're bigger fish or there's more there, they all pretty much all caught £20. And then as you got away from that, through like the windmills, 16, 17, 18, I think God has won that a little bit with an £18. And then just past that on the scout hut, there's quite a few 20s there. So good fishing, very good fishing. So it bode well for this weekend. The weather's very mild, rain, wind. You couldn't ask for better conditions for March, really.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
I think there'll be some big weights at the weekend. I don't think you'll see the 40s and 50s like we have done in the past. There's a good head of small fish. I know a lot of the anglers said they were getting pestered by little fish, and those that could sort them bigger fish out definitely had the bigger weights. But I think I'm going to say sort of 36 to £38 will probably win this Sunday.
Well, we've got some bad news.
What?
Some non-participants.
Yeah. Both of us are not fishing.
Well, yours is due to you're under the thumb.
No. It's Bob Fitztench's fault.
You're under the thumb.
The March, he gave me the dates for all the matches and all the Hayjack matches, so I've given it to everyone because these are the dates he's given me. And then he couldn't get the Braza. So it's now the 14th instead of the 21st. So
why can't you fish it, Alex?
Because it is Hayley's family Christmas do. No, mate, my own fault. They've arranged it round me, so do you know what I mean?
You're gutted, aren't you?
I am gutted, yeah.
I've got a genuine reason.
Oh, here we go.
I'm injured, mate.
Yeah, like the whole of the defensive line for Arsenal.
I'm injured.
Yeah.
I went out on the fen drain last week on my boat, Thursday. Got my engine back from the guy that had fixed it. And I did what we did. Filming the bream video, we conked out 5 miles out. I did the same again. Oh, I was trying to pull the bloody engine all the way back, swearing. Took me 4 hours to get back. Knackered my shoulder. So, guys, this year, you're lucky.
Means he'll fish now. Get booked in, John.
But also, I haven't got my dad, a.k.a. Alex, to drop me off down at my peg.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to go. Yeah. So, yeah. No
Everyone's safe this week then, aren't they?
Well, Andy
You
Wilding hasn't been in touch, and I
Oh.
need him to make my rigs as well. He has fallen out with me big time.
Do you reckon?
Oh yeah,
Oh dear.
you can't take the banter.
Oh.
I think we need to make some more Photoshop some more mole pictures of him, don't you think?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure the Peter will do that themselves, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Right. Anything else you want to add?
No. No, I think hopefully I've covered most of the Van Den Eynde stuff in the video.
If you hadn't noticed, guys, Alex's tackle and baits are sponsored by a groundbait company.
I just don't even notice that, no. No.
Nice shirt you got on there.
Yeah.
The mic's in the way; they can't see it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You see it?
I have noticed one thing before we go. The next podcast is due out on Christmas Eve.
Oh, really?
And we have this problem every year because we're so disorganised, we don't actually think forward. So I'm not sure when the next one's going to come out. And I don't know what we're going to do because we haven't haven't planned this at all. We'll let you know. We'll try and do one before that comes out then. We'll see what we can do. It'd be nice to do actual fishing one if we could do it.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Alex has got some ground bait to sell before Christmas.
I've got a lot to sell before
You've got
Christmas,
some, actually,
fair.
seriously, you've got some rods, haven't you, as well?
Rods, yeah. Got some nice float rods that Dyer have done, which I think will be perfect for fishing around here on the drains.
Yeah. We were going to do a video on those, but the weather's done us in.
Oh,
We might do something with that soon. So we might do something for Christmas Eve. Keep an eye out, and we'll hopefully will. But yeah, anything to add, mate?
No, not really. No.
Save up your pennies. Get to tackle and baits. There's lots of
Yes.
things going on. Christmas
There is.
vouchers are for sale.
Yeah, don't forget your vouchers.
Lots of ground bait.
Lots of everything.
Bargains everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. See you all later.
Cheers.